Well, Kyle Neddenriff here from the Indy Star, and it is July, but it's always basketball season around here in Indiana. We've got Drew Schauss joining us tonight, and Drew, as of tonight, the new Kokomo high school basketball coach. And Drew, I know it was a tough decision for you after 4 years to leave Avon, but from talking to you a little bit yesterday, I know how hard it was. But first off, just wanted to ask you what appealed to you about this Kokomo job. Obviously, one of the historically one of the more premier positions in the state. Kokomo's obviously got a reputation in basketball, but tell us a little bit about this job and what it is and why it appealed to you.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest things is it's closer to family for my wife and I. My wife's from Rochester, and my dad and then my brother and his family live in Columbia City, so that cuts our distance to them over half. And as we try to start our own family, that was really important to us. But also, I'm the middle school athletic director as well as the assistant high school athletic director. And what was appealing to that is I've been working on my building level administrator license through Purdue for the past year. And not a lot of times you get the opportunity to both coach boys basketball in the state of Indiana and be an administrator. Also, the community at Kokomo was a draw and the history behind it. And you don't get a lot of those old school basketball towns anymore where, you've got season ticket holders and, people have been there for 40 years watching games. So the appeal to that, as well as, I think Coach Peckinpah's done a great job at Kokomo and continuing that historic run they've had of sectional titles over the years. And, it's just like at Avon, a very supportive administration. And they felt that I was a good fit in terms of both from the education administration side to coaching basketball.
And before we get too far along, I want to ask you more about Kokomo in a minute. But just leaving Avon was a program that when you came in had success at times. It won a sectional title in 2019, but then kind of dropped off a little bit right after that. And you came in, had two losing seasons, but improving seasons. I would say your first 2 years, and then kind of had the breakthrough sectional title your third year. Had another really good last year, a 20-win team that was ranked as high as number 2 in the state. I think you guys were number 4, going into the sectional.
Yeah.
But after 4 years, Drew, I know it was a program that you'd kind of been able to build with help of others. What would you kind of say about the Avon job, and I guess what was the hardest part about leaving it?
Yeah, I think the Avon job. You still got 2 very, very good players that return as seniors, Carrion Berry and Jedediah Manette, who are outstanding young men as well as good basketball players, as well as all the other players that are back that have been in our program for years, as Preston Miller, Riley Crane, Will Core, Isaiah Mayberry. Those guys have been there, so you've got good players back. There's a chance to have another special season. You've got Jason Young, who's an awesome administrator, former basketball coach. He gets it. He loves it. And then the addition of our strength conditioning, our new weight room, as well as our strength conditioning coaches. I think things are headed in the right direction. Matt Shockley is a great principal. He's one of the best in the state. So I think Avon itself is in really good shape. It's a growing school, which not a lot of schools are growing anymore. Just completed a new construction project, basically all the high school. But the toughest part is the people. I think anytime you go, you build these relationships. My toughest part was saying goodbye to our kids. They've been a special part of my wife and I's life. So saying goodbye is tough, especially friends you've had over those years too. A lot of good relationships. Coach Mark Bless, who retired this year from coaching 2 years ago, great mentor, great friend. Then Rob Gibson, and then Coach Ray and Coach Stevenson are, 3 people on top of Mr. Young that have just been vital to our success as well at Avon. So it's the people. I think at the end of the day, anytime you leave a place, the people make some place special. And that's why Avon, I think, was very special to us as my wife and I got married and kind of started really diving deep into the community.
And I'll ask you this, Drew, because I know the timing of this is not what you wanted necessarily. It's July. It's hard it's hard to make a move, and it's hard to find coaches, now at this point in the game. But with Coach Peckinpah leaving to take the college job, that sort of opened this up, for your opportunity. But what would you say? I know I had some people ask about that, like why now? What would you say to that?
It's never easy. I also got hired in July when I first came to Avon. I got 2 open gyms in July. Not that is a reason, but it happens. I can't help the timing. I feel terrible about it. Like I've told Mr. Young and Mr. Shockley the same thing, but not a lot of times. I have a strong passion for athletic administration. I love being able to support other teams and support coaches, as well as coach basketball. And the opportunity to do both and be closer to home, it was very, very obviously a difficult decision, but that's hard to pass up. And I do hate the timing. I truly do. But for me, I love the athletic director's role. I've had really good athletic directors, Brian Strong, Joshua Arsh, Jason Young, and they've kind of same way I wanted to coach. I had great coaches that did the same thing for me. So I think being able to combine those two, I'm very passionate about both, and I think I can impact a lot of lives, not only just basketball players and basketball community, but middle school athletes as they kind of grow and mature at Kokomo. Be able to impact those lives and help coaches along the way.
And again, talking to Drew Schauss, the new Kokomo coach, formerly of Avon. What I guess as you move into this job, Drew, what do you take from your experience at Avon, maybe that can translate to this position? They are different schools, obviously. I'm sure with different things you'll have to overcome, or different types of personnel. But are there things you can take from your Avon job that will apply to Kokomo?
Yeah, I think both Avon and Kokomo are 2 of the more diverse schools in Indiana, which I love being a part of. Like Avon, you could hear 10 different languages walking down the hallway. And I think with Kokomo's international program and student body, you're going to get kids from different walks of life, from different areas that have moved in from different countries. And I think that's one thing that Avon taught me and helped me is, being involved in a diverse student body and getting to know those students and understanding that different cultures, kids react differently. So I think that's from an education side and being a role model and teacher. I think that's big. But at the end of the day, I think, basketball wise, building up a feeder program, I've had a lot of help along the way at Avon, and, Coach Peckinpah did a great job at Kokomo building theirs up, but I've learned a lot of things on how to implement defensive concepts, offensive concepts at different grade levels on a larger scale than I had at Logansport. Logansport, I had, 1 team per grade and 7 kids, and it was really easy to have everybody in the same gym at once with 1 middle school. Now you're going to have 3 middle schools combining into 1 team at Kokomo. So I think the ability working with more kids, more coaches that I did at Avon, I think that's really going to carry over as well.
Some pretty good talent returning there at Kokomo, and I had a chance. I was up there a lot when Flory Benunga was playing there, and of course winning Mr. Basketball, and I saw firsthand what that community could be like and that gym could be like on a Friday night. I remember one of the games, Marion in particular, was absolutely was jam packed. It was awesome. It was like an old school, old school game in the North Central Conference. But what do you know about the team? What do you kind of feel like the future holds there at Kokomo?
Yeah, you've got Corbin Hamill back, who's got a Division I offer. I was at the top 100, and as this kind of came to fruition, I remember working with him a little bit at the top 100 in a group and seeing he's super coachable, worked hard, very athletic, can get to the rim, do different things. Barris Moore coming back, who's a dual sport athlete. DJ Nash, who started as a freshman, played a lot of minutes, did a lot of good things. It's had a good summer and spring, it looks like. But then, people kind of brag on their middle school groups that are coming up. They're incoming freshmen, they're incoming 8th grade. So again, I got to get eyes on everybody. But anytime you get that's exciting because it's a fresh start, not only for some of those kids, but, for me as a coach to, maybe you didn't play as much as you wanted before, but now you got a chance to prove it. I think anytime you have a new coach come in, but I'm excited. I think we'll have the same level, similar athletes that we had at Avon that I think worked well for our defensive pressure and our defensive kind of schemes that we did. And I think that'll carry over well. But yeah, I'm excited to get in there and work. I think next week get in there, do a couple open gyms, a meet the coach thing, and just kind of start. My wife and I start getting invested and get involved in the community.
Did you have a chance to talk to Coach Beckenpaw at all about his thoughts on the job and kind of what it would be like coming into that situation?
Yeah, I did. I've known Coach Peckinpah for a while. I grew up in the Richmond area. Obviously, he's a Muncie guy. We've got mutual friends. Played around the same AAU programs and kind of were around each other and have connections. But yeah, he spoke highly of it. He's not leaving because of lack of talent or anything like that. He loves the community. His wife's still going to coach girls basketball there. People still love him in the community. So I think he's guiding. We're going to meet and have dinner and kind of go over everything. So there's a good transition. But I think talking about the middle school athletic director job and kind of getting the ropes and understanding it's a close knit community and kind of getting to know people there. He's going to introduce me to some people in the community that really support basketball and important to know. So I think with that transition, it's going to be good to be able to have a relationship with that other coach moving in, just for the sake of you get to know a little bit more about the program, the ins and outs, and everything like that.
And what do as you leave Avon, you mentioned the guys coming back. I think most notably, two leading scorers, Carryon Berry and Jetta Minette, who as we know, those guys can fill it up.
Yes.
Those are really, really good offensive players. But for the new coach, I mean, what does it look like, do you think, for Avon going into next year and into the future there?
Yeah, I think you look at what we accomplished throughout the summer, and I knew it was going to be a struggle at the start because we had two returning varsity players. Everybody was kind of either dressed varsity or played majority JV. But as the summer progressed, we got our teeth kicked in by Cathedral that first game, and then responded with double-digit wins over Homestead, Northview, and Northridge. And then we go to Ohio and play 4 good Ohio teams, including a state champion from last year that didn't lose anybody, and win all those games by double digits. So the growth that those guys have shown, you've got a lot of maturity. You've got some seniors that Will Clore and Zay Mayberry and Tyrone Elmore has moved back from Mooresville. Those guys they play basketball. They play a lot of basketball, so they understand it. And then Preston Miller and Riley Crane are kids that have been in our program and around it since 6th grade. Like they were little kids running around watching us play and coming to practices, and very supportive families. So you've got pieces back to be successful. I see them competing again for county and sectional in the conference. And then, we've got a lot of kids. Our youth buy-in is good. We've got good numbers. That's not an issue. So, we've got a deep class of freshmen that really like to play basketball. They're physical kids that play football too. So, and then you've got a group of incoming sophomores that took a couple to Charlie Hughes in Ohio and came in and did some really good things. So there's pieces. The cupboard is not bare by any means. It's a great job with great people.
Well, thanks again, Drew, the new Kokomo basketball coach, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you down the road here, but appreciate you taking a few minutes. I know it's been a busy couple of days for you.
Yep. Thank you, Kyle.
You bet. Well, appreciate Drew Schauss for coming on. It's not always that you have coaching changes this late in the game. So I know Avon's going to be, and I'm sure there will be a good group of candidates there interested in that job. It's it's a job that it's hard. You're in a sectional where you got Brownsburg's the defending sectional champ. You got Ben Davis. Pike's going to be one of the best teams in the state. Ben Davis should be one of the best teams in the state. Plainfield is loaded this year. So that 5-team sectional, as we saw last year, I think every game was about a 2-3 point game all the way through. So I think it'll be similar again this year. Like I said, Pike may be the most talented team in the state. But Plainfield, Ben Davis are right there. Brownsburg and Avon will both be good. But I can't imagine there won't be a good good group of candidates for that position here in the next few weeks. And like I said, and like Drew said, Jason Young has done a really good job there, I think, of getting all the sports up to par. And I know football looks like to be on the rebound under Rob Gibson. Just a lot of good things I think happening there. New facilities, new weight room. They're in a great conference there in the HCC, which is always tough. You're playing against great competition, but looks like a pretty good job. And I think Drew's done a good job of, making that a better job than it might have been previously. But wanted to touch on another couple topics here. As we get into the summer, put out some rankings this week on different classes, the 2026, 27, and 28. I have the 28 class out tomorrow, actually. Just doing a top 10 on that one, but wanted to touch on the 26 and 27 classes. And I think the 26 class, obviously you're talking about, Luke Ertl. I don't think anybody's going to argue with him at the number one position. I think he's earned that with what he did during the season, obviously. And then beyond that into the summer and he did get hurt, in the Charlie Hughes and was not able to play other than just a couple minutes there. But, his season, 22.7 points a game. Purdue got in early, got his commitment last summer, right about this time, like maybe a little bit after this, but got in early, got his commitment. At that time, he had UAB, Butler, Wake Forest, and a few others, but Purdue was really the high major that came after him and made him a priority, and you could kind of see it coming the few weeks before he committed. But he's risen up to like number 53, I think, in the 24/7 Sports National rankings in that class. Pretty obviously a favorite for Mr. Basketball going into next year. I think after that, you have, and I ended up, with my top five being Noah Smith from Plainfield at 2, Justin Curry, Noblesville 3, Kai McGrew 4 from Fishers, previously of Lawrence North, and Dikembe Shaw of Crown Point at 5. And I think, Crown Point's, team is going to be really good. And Shaw, to me, is, I think he's kind of a ready-made player going into next year. He's strong, physical. He can shoot the three. His offers, are mostly mid-majors, pretty much all mid-majors at this point. But, just an outstanding player who I think can help immediately at a mid-major type school. The other three, I'll be curious to see what happens with, Noah Smith as a official visit to DePaul on August 2nd and 3rd. And, I don't know if in July, who knows what can happen in these next 3 weeks for some of these kids. To me, Smith, when I saw him at the Charlie Hughes, he looked like a high major player to me. And I'm a little bit surprised he hasn't, looking at his frame and the way he can shoot it, what he does for that team at Plainfield, I think he can shoot. He didn't shoot it great as a junior from the 3-point line, which, that may be part of the reason why he doesn't maybe have a little bit more, but he's definitely capable of that. And he did it at the Charlie Hughes, and I think he will continue to do that in July. But he did go get Oklahoma State offer. He's picked up a lot of mid-major offers, Ball State, Belmont, New Mexico, some really good schools that have jumped in the mix for him. But right now, DePaul, they may be the team to beat. And, Jack Owens there, the former Purdue assistant, saw him at the Charlie Hughes at several different games. So, I know Chris Holtman obviously has a history in this state as well. The head coach there at DePaul now, previously at Butler. So they do a good job recruiting the state, and they're also in on Curry and some others. Curry has not. He's going to narrow down his list after July, kind of see what happens in July, and then get it narrowed down. He's picked up some new offers: Murray State, UT Martin, Valpo, in previous offers from DePaul, Northwestern included in that group, Nevada, Indiana State, among others. Kai McGrew, we're still, he transferred from Fishers before the rule went into place as far as the one-time transfer rule. So, he's sort of in limbo as the old style of transfer. So waiting to see what happens. I would assume he's going to get eligibility because he does live in Fishers, but we'll see on that. I really like his game. I thought at the end of the season for Lawrence North, he played really well. Ended up being a core junior all-star, 14.5 points, 8.2 rebounds. And he also can make 3-pointers. And I don't know if, he's going to do that a lot for Fishers, but he can do that at the next level. He was 17 for 42 from the 3-point line last season. But in his offers are Louisiana Tech, Mississippi State, San Francisco, UT Arlington. I don't know what will happen necessarily with his recruitment. I have Jay Sean Ladd at number 6 from Ben Davis. Super athletic, can really shoot it from the 3-point line. He was over 41% last year from three. He has Miami of Ohio, and then Akron, Ball State, Indiana State, IU, Indy, Kent State. He's got an official visit to Akron in August. So he's a player I really like. Terrence Hayes Jr. from Gary 21st Century I had number 7. He has a lot of mid-major offers as well. Picked up Nevada. He also has Oklahoma State recently. Illinois, Chicago, Miami of Ohio, Missouri State, Murray State, New Mexico, like I said, Oklahoma State and St. Louis, and also had previous offers from Northern Illinois, Valpo, Youngstown State, and IU Indy. So he's a guy who could really I really like his game. Point guard, lefty, can shoot it, and I think he's going to be a good one. We'll be seeing play in the NCAA tournament someday. Carry-on Barry, I had 8. He's got, I really like his game as well. He didn't shoot it great from the 3-point line as a junior, but physical, offensive player. I think he's a guy who can play both ends of the floor. He got a Butler offer in May, and then since added a lot. He's got a lot of offers. He's got Indiana State, LaSalle, Rhode Island, St. Louis, among others, SIU, Wright State, Toledo, and previously had Ball State, Coastal Carolina, and IU Indy. And rounding out the top 10, I had Baron Walker from Noblesville and Brennan Miller from Lawrence North. I'm not going to go through everybody here, but I think pretty strong top 10. I think Walker and Miller. Walker, I think, has been underrated. I liked his game for a long time. Can shoot it really well from the 3. All of his shooting numbers are really outstanding from the line, from the field, 3-point line. Picked up his first D1 offer from Indiana State in May, and since then has got Bellarmine, Boston, Central Michigan, IU, Indy, and Wright State. And then Miller, I thought played really well at the top 100 underclass showcase, had a really strong June. So he's a guy I think who, when he first came in as a freshman, it was really kind of just a 3-point shooter. And then, his game changed, body got stronger, played more inside the last couple of years. But I think he's a good inside-outside type player. Has Akron, IU, Indy, Kent State, Toledo, Valpo, and Wright State among his offers. And, I thought, worth mentioning just outside the top 10 there, Evan Harrell from Carmel, I thought had an outstanding performance at the Charlie Hughes. Nick Shrewsbury, I thought also very, very good tournament there. Drew Hafner right at 14. I'm surprised he hasn't gotten more recruiting offers. But yeah, I mean, those are just a few. Sherman Moss Wright from Ben Davis, I would pretty high on him as well. Jamar Thomas, who's now at Mount Vernon, I think can be a outstanding player. So, and you mentioned, or you heard Drew talk about Corbin Hamill, super athletic guard for Kokomo, going to be a senior, but he's a guy who filled up the stat sheet last year, a really good player. So throughout this top 25, James Kalala I had at 25 and wrote a story about him recently from just a super, super young man, great kid who came from the Congo he was in North Carolina his freshman year of high school, but then transferred to Southport. And has really kind of immersed himself at Southport there. People really love him there. He's with the Turner family, and they've taken in some foster kids over the years, and he's kind of made himself part of that family. So I had him at 25. I know he's getting some smaller college looks and potentially could get some more moving forward. So I had him at 25, but I think a pretty good class. I know people aren't maybe as high on 26, but pretty strong top 25, I would say overall in that class. Maybe not as deep as 25 was, but you may not have that top 10 in the country type kid or wherever Mullins ended up being top 20, I guess. But there are some really good players in that class. And I think Ertl, depending on, the season he has and whatnot, could end up being in the top 50. He's close to that right now. 2027, not going to go through everybody here, but I had Jason Gardner Jr. from Fishers number 1. And I think the top 5 is probably a little bit, solid. You could put some of these top 5 players in some different areas. And I kind of struggled with that a little bit. I definitely liked Gardner and Isaiah Hill as my 1 and 2. Isaiah Hill, I'm listing him at 7 foot. I believe he's 7. He told me he's 7 foot. He looks 7 foot to me. But he's really shot up in some of the national rankings. He's top 50 now by 24/7 Sports. I think he's 49. And then Gardner's up to 25, I believe, and 25 by 24/7 Sports. Both those guys have really, especially Gardner's really exploded with his offer list here lately. Averaged 14.5 points, 5.3 assists. Had an incredible dunk in the Charlie Hughes, and it's not all about dunks necessarily, but I think the bigger point is they want him when he gets there to really. And CJ Walker, the former Indian All-Star from Tech, is on staff now there, and really wants him to finish strong when he gets to the rim. And Gardner kind of said, "Hey, I always thought 2 points is 2 points," was always kind of my my thought, but. If you can get there and dunk it, go ahead and do it. It's kind of the idea, and he definitely did that in the Charlie Hughes. And he has offers from Cincinnati, Creighton, DePaul, Indiana, Notre Dame, Ohio State, Oklahoma State, Purdue, Texas, UNLV, among others of the high majors. So a lot of options to go around for him. He is, I think, Purdue has seemed like they've been in the kind of the forefront for him. But he's also picked up offers from Georgetown, Indiana, Louisville, Syracuse, and TCU. So if he did mention that Duke is kind of his, his dream school. So, if he ends up waiting and kind of becomes even more of a national recruit, I think, who knows what could happen if he would happen to commit earlier. I think Purdue might have a little bit of a head start on that. So we'll see what happens with him. But yeah, he's shot blocker, runs the floor, scores around the basket. He can shoot some too. So yeah, really a lot of potential with Isaiah Hill. And then Jahari Miller, I really like his game a lot. Also plays with Hill for Pike, 6'3" point guard. He can score. He's a good distributor. His assists weren't really that high during the high school season, but I can see that being a big jump for him next year. But 15.6 points and 4.1 rebounds and 42% from three. So if you look at all his efficiency numbers are really good. His shooting numbers are good. He picked up an Oklahoma State offer here recently, Appalachian State and Toledo also recently. So Harper Baker Lands, I had at 4, and Cooper Zachary at 5. I think you could, depending on the day, you could probably go in any order with those three all-point guards. Baker Lands may be more of a combo guard the way they use him at Plainfield, but definitely can play the point, and had a great Charlie Hughes. Had 32, 31, and 27 in games I watched, and really efficient in all those games. So, he's he averaged 15.3 as a junior or as a sophomore, for Plainfield. So he has offers, most of his offers right now, Eastern Illinois, Morehead State, Tulane, mid-majors, but I would expect that could change depending on how he continues to play. Obviously, still a year away on these guys, so still a lot of time. Zachary, just so confident, such a really instinctive player, really good point guard, 11.2 points, 5.0 assists. Rebounds pretty well for a guy his size, and also gets a ton of steals as well, and then shoots at about 50% from three. So, he does everything. I'll be curious to see if he gets a high major offer at some point. I know there's interest there, teams that really like him. And if you don't, if you watch him play, I don't know how you can't like the way he plays. But right now he does have Nevada, Ball State, Kent State, Toledo, among others. So, definitely some options out there for him. And just going through the top 10 quickly, had Mac Welker from Homestead at 6, had Elijah King from South Bend St. Joe at 7, Derek Cross Jr. from Bloomington North at 8, Brandon Hunter from Silver Creek at 9, and Kenneth Lampley at number 10 from Pike. So those 5 are the second 5 of the top 10. I had a chance to see all those players at the Charlie Hughes. Elijah King really tore it up. I think he's going to be a high major player. Derek Cross from Bloomington North had a really good sophomore year. Again, he shoots it well from the three-point line. He has offers from SEMO and Southern Illinois Edwardsville. Brandon Hunter, just outstanding passer from Silver Creek. He plays on a AAU team with with Gardner and Zachary, and man, he really can pass. He's a really good athlete too, but not 7.5 assists last year for Silver Creek, which will be one of the best teams in 3A, if not the best team. So he's going to be a good one. Kenneth Lampley, just makes it look so easy. Just haven't had a lot of chance to see him play yet. So, just as far as high school basketball. So we'll be curious to see what he does moving forward. But you can check all that out at indystar.com, all the rankings and everything. Like I said, we'll have the 2028 team out coming out in the morning here. But, that's a group, I think, too, the top 3 in that class, top 4 really. I would say really like all 4 of them. So, but yeah, we'll have more. I don't love doing rankings when I haven't seen, like this freshman class, haven't seen a ton of them, yet. But that's why I just leave the rankings a little bit shorter than I do with the juniors and seniors. But turning the page a little bit, one of the guys I had ranked in the 27 class, Ben McKinney, from Brebeuf, is going to prep school. He's going to Sunrise Christian out in Kansas. So 6'11". I really thought he had a chance to be a breakout player. Obviously, still does. He just won't be in Indiana when he does it. But he was a guy I thought played really well at the top 100 showcase. But yeah. So unfortunate, just not from a standpoint of what he's going to do, but just don't get a chance to see him play. Now. So looking forward to see what he does in the future, though. Like I said, 6'11", he can really play. He didn't have, great stats last year. That's normally the case for big guys who they always progress a little bit later. But 5 points, 4.9 rebounds, and 1.5 block shots as a sophomore for Brebeuf. So yeah, we'll see what he ends up doing at Sunrise Christian and monitoring that progression from afar. As far as I don't know, we may see other prep school defections, but there's some rumors. Don't want to get into rumors, but you always hear things. 90% of the things I hear, either don't come true or you can't report on them until they do anyway. So we'll see about that. But yeah, I'm sure there'll be some moving and shaking. Probably a couple names that may not end up at the high school, at the IHSA. May end up elsewhere, but we'll see. It's still a few weeks away from the start of kids going to school again, so there is a little bit of time left on that front. So, and then football, we've been rolling out some football stuff here already. Had top quarterbacks last week. We'll have another football hit coming. Had top games of week 1 a couple weeks ago, so we'll be going more in depth in football. It's July 9th right now, so we still have about 6-7 weeks till the start of the week 1 of the high school football season. So starting to get that stuff in order. But you look at the football recruiting right now. Most of the 2026 guys that are at the top of the list as far as top players go have locked into a spot. Not to say they can't change from that or move to a different school at some point, but most of the players that are, the name players have jumped in on a commitment and got locked in there. So we saw last night or 2 nights ago, Tyler Ruxer and Jet Goldsberry from Heritage Hills, they made a joint announcement at their school, and Goldsberry going to Ole Miss, Tyler Ruxer going to Oklahoma. So that pretty much, other than the Guilford kid from Fort Wayne Northrop, wide receiver, who's very good. He was previously committed, but has since opened things up, and we'll see what happens there. But other than that, in the top 10, pretty much top 20, really everybody has committed. Deacon King from Westfield's another one that he's still out there. Strong safety and running back for Westfield. So he's one that's out there, but a lot of the others have gotten locked in. Anthony Colner from Carmel, their quarterback, committed to Troy. That was one from a quarterback standpoint. Then we also had Jack Sorgi in the 2027 class commit to Louisville. So there have been a little bit of movement in that class, but still, the top guys there. Monchin Sales from Lawrence North, receiver, 4-star. Jace Brewer, 4-star from Franklin Central at the defensive end position. And Caleb Elkins, safety. All those guys are 4 stars in 27 who have not committed, and I don't think are in any rush to necessarily do that either. But you go up and down the list. Casimir Hicks from going to IU from Decatur Central. He's locked in. Carson Elams from Fisher's, cornerback, going to Wisconsin. J.J. Finch, of course, going to Alabama, the Warren Central defensive end. And then Brock Brownfield from New Pal, offensive lineman, going to Purdue. So it's a lot of the top, like I said, a lot of the top guys have locked in that 26 class. Blake Smythe from Franklin going to IU also. So pretty good run of IU and Purdue commitments we've had here from in-state players. Kobe Cherry, of course, Center Grove. His high school teammate C.J. Cyphers from Center Grove also going to IU. So pretty good representation for the in-state schools in that 26 in-state class. So rambling on a bit, but like I said, I wanted to talk a little bit beyond Drew Schauss hiring at Kokomo, and wanted to just talk to him. I had some questions. I mentioned to him about people asking about why now, or what the situation was, and I knew where he was going, but you just wanted to. At least I knew that he had, it was kind of getting out there that he told his team at Avon he was leaving, wanted to report that, but then also, be fair to him and didn't want to, overstep things and, give him a chance to talk about Kokomo when the time was right. And, he felt comfortable talking about it after it had officially been announced, in fairness to them. So, but appreciate him coming on, and appreciate, all of you out there asking questions. I'll try to answer more in this venue or wherever, but know where to reach me, and I will talk to you next time.